Right. So, wait, how do I minimize this guy? Am I able to do that, Seth?
What's that?
How do I minimize this?
I don't know if you actually can.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Okay, well I'll just use Tab Alt. Okay, so there are quite a few forest nodes in here, and ForestPack is a nature scattering program, but you can kind of leverage it to do some pretty cool stuff. I'll show you how I did this image, and then I'll show you how to populate an entire stadium with seats and people in those seats in like minutes. So let's get started. Open her up. This brightness is too low now. Whatever. Alright, so you can see in here there's a bunch of point clouds. These are all the ForestPack nodes. I think there's 9 of them in this scene. I have over here, I believe, right here, I have my objects that I scattered. So I have, some wheat here. I have the fallen wheat, a few different ones, and the grass, rocks, and then long grass, and then the little wheat stalks, which are on the ground. Or I might have taken those out. I don't think it really made much of a difference. So, as you can see up here, we have this fallen wheat, and the way I did that to control it was actually painting an RGB map that's controlled that controls the rotation of it. And I'll go through that really quickly. So, isolate everything but falling wheat. So, in ForestPack, you can, right here, select what you want to scatter. And down here in the transforms, I have the rotation being controlled by an RGB map, which is actually a vertex painted map here. Maybe I should go through and show you just what these parameters do really quickly first. So I'll show you with this guy right here. So this is the main wheat, the wheat that's just everywhere. And I have 4 different kinds of wheat in here, and they're all scattered across the ground. And this is just where it shows you what wheats there are. And I will increase the display here so you can get a better picture of what those look like. So I selected what I wanted to be scattered, and I have splines right here to control where this is placed, and right now it's clipping it from the camera, which I'll show you later, but I have it excluding, I believe, this spline right here. So I took these 2 nodes, and as you can see, let me turn off the camera clipping. It's excluding it from here, and I was able to take the distribution map here, which kind of controls the density. So you can see more dense, less dense, and also controls the pattern. So this is a spread. It's just kind of a nice random generic pattern. There are a few more controls in here that everything's really easy to understand, so if you go through ForestPack later, you'll be able to pick it up really quickly. I have it set on the surface, just the ground surface here. Nothing special. And then my transforms here say, make them randomly scale between 90 and 100% just to keep it pretty flat. A tiny bit of X and Y rotation just so it's nice and wavy a little bit, and 360 rotation for Z. And then we'll go back to the falling beat. So I did the same thing with excluding it with this spline right here. No, I need to remove it that way. This N. So I used the N right there to only have it show up right there. But I essentially did a vertex paint map on here, which I actually can't show because I collapsed the stack. But I made a color clipboard, just like this, and put normal map colors in it, and painted it so I could interactively see the rotation, how it was affecting it. Like if I go through here and screw it all up, you can paint it in real time. Watch where they go. This was actually the first project I used ForcePack on, so painting a full RGB map was probably not the smartest thing. I could have done it with a black and white map and told it to only affect one rotational axis. But I went through and see the RGB map is affecting the X and the Y, but not the Z. I just have the Z going at a negative 80 to 80 to give it a nice sway there.
What modifier are you using right now?
This is the ForcePack Pro.
Is that a plugin?
Yes. Yeah.
Johnny.
Yes.
If you right click on that plane and say display vertex colors, will your paint job show up?
Maybe. Well, I don't believe it will, but where's the display?
It's already checked.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't work. Seth and I went over it for a while. But, so the other stuff was done pretty simple as well. Just using, here, I will isolate all this stuff, or kill that off. So, like you can see the tracks behind, oh, there are the stalks. You can see the tracks behind it. So I just basically told it to rotate in one direction this way and kind of faded it out through using the area exclusion. So I said, include this area, which is right in here. So I said include this rectangle, and then I told it to give a fall off. So 7 feet into it, it'll give this curve of a fall off, which is basically 100 to 0. And I use that technique for the other side as well, just with a separate forced object going in the opposite direction. And then down here, we have a couple grass patterns. 3 of them, I believe. Maybe 2. I have short grass, which I kind of wanted it to taper off towards the sides here, so I did a bit of fiddling with the distribution map. I used this bands map, which these different types of scatter patterns support. This is actually a built-in map, but I don't know why it just didn't show up on here. So it gives us these bands and kind of tapers off towards the center. And I did the same thing with the longer grass, but just made the strip thinner, which gives us this nice, it's hard to see from this far, but you get, a bit of longer grass towards the back and then thinner grass. And then I did the rocks with this kind of crazy banding here. I believe I used bands 1 as well, random bands, and just told it to, oh, bad keybinds, just told it to go towards the center of the map so it wouldn't be on the tire track areas. And that's really all that needed to be done forest-wise on this piece. The rest of it's fairly simple. You know, I grabbed a tractor from is it Google Warehouse, and then just souped it up a little bit and threw in some stalks in there, and obviously the goat, which was a lot of fun. I had a few of them in there at first, but they said nay. You know, the more goats, the better. So, does anyone have any other questions, or any questions about this image in particular, or forest pack? Yes?
How did you create the grass and weed? Like, which way did you do that?
Oh, the geometry itself?
Yes.
These are part of a pack that we purchased. We have a bunch of them. They're really simple to make, but we have a few really nice ones. So this, I believe, is from iGrass, and originally, like that's the original model, but because we're so far away with the camera, I put a push modifier on it to give it a little bit more thickness, so you can actually see it. Yes?
You can animate the grass right now.
Yes, you can. Forest supports the animations and animated proxies. So all you would have to do is, you know, you could put a wave modifier on it, or you could put a flex modifier on it if you want to use real wind. It's pretty simple to do. If you wanted to see, you could just put a wave. Was it wave or no? It would be bend on here. Bend and and so I'll isolate this one. Do I have him? Wheat 01. Just make sure I have this guy in here. Wheat 01. Wheat 01. Okay. So if I go down to the animation panel right here, turn off animate only at render time. Does not want to work. Let's see. Go down to color IDs. Alright, so it's the dark one. Oh, duh. There we go. So it works with animation. It's nice stuff. Alright, are there any other questions about this image, or? Yes?
Is the first plugin free?
No, it's not. It's by i2 Software. They also make a few other ones like Rail Clone and Grow Effects. I believe it's, shoot, how much is it? I don't remember how much it is. It's not that expensive, but if you use, or if you require scattering a lot, you know, do a lot of natural scenes, then it's definitely a great product. That and multi-scatter are pretty good.
I think they also have, don't they have professional and light versions?
Yes, they do. They have a light version that, thanks for reminding me, Seth, that has a few limitations. It's not like a watermark or anything, but it doesn't work on I believe it doesn't work on surfaces that are not flat, or is that real clone light?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure, like, usually in any software, if they do like a light version versus a professional, they take out like animation tools.
Yeah.
Like, they take
Yeah.
out certain things that, 15% of the people who use it use. So I don't know the exact things, but I would imagine it's something like that.
Yeah.
Like there's some weird things that it doesn't do, but then everything else it does. Like I would see them creating something for like stills versus animations where like the animation's not supported or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yes. Depends on which part you're looking at. The road is a photo, and then I painted as well on top of it, and then I used 2 or 3 different maps to blend between them. Like if you look right here, you can see that this photo would not really work right there, so I used a what's called a V-Ray distance text and told it to blend a different material the closer it got to this plane right here. And so technically when these two merge, they're the same exact material with the same UV coordinates, so you can't see the change between the two. But most of these are just from CG textures and tweaked a little bit by hand. All right. Anybody else? No? Okay. Move on to the stadium. So right here we have this huge stadium, and we run into problems like this all the time, where we have to do a massive amount of precise work or natural type of scattering, and you just really need something to help you out there. And the way I would go about filling this guy up, you could technically do it with a couple other scripts, like you could use a spacing tool with an object replacer to kind of randomize the people, but Forest gives us a nice parametric solution, and its memory management is great, and previewing it is really fast in the viewport. So we have this huge stadium, and we need to fill it up with thousands of seats, and you can see the end result here is lots of people. But how I go about it is I grabbed all of the edges on the stadium itself, like you saw right there, just by grabbing them, and I did a dot ring here, which basically jumps it like that. It'll jump it a certain amount right here. See dot gap, I can jump it by 3, select every other one. But that's how I did that selection, and then I just looped it to grab it on all of them, and then I would just remove anything that I didn't want it to have. Let's go back to that selection. And then I extracted a spline. So create spline from shape, or create shape from selection. And I did that for all of these objects, which gave us this one spline. Now when you're doing this, the spline direction does matter. So if you've ever seen the reverse button here, if your splines are the wrong way, your chairs will be backwards, basically. But it's not really a problem, because you can go in afterwards and reverse the spline direction and then just tell it to repropagate it, and it fits. So the people and the seating I already have set up over here. So here are chairs. It's shaded. What's going on? The The chair I'm going to use, I believe, is it this one? Or is it this one? No, it's this one. So this is one we did for a different project a while ago. I just grabbed it, and it works pretty well. So you have to just make sure that the pivot point is in the correct place. So the way I did that was, let's just take it and put it over here. Just try and find a flat spot. So like if I bring them right around here, and let's say the spline is, alright, where am I? Snaps, edge. So the pivot point should be right on the edge where the spline would be, and then the seat will be wherever it is physically on there right now. So got the pivot point in the correct place, and I do the same exact thing for the people. You'll notice that all these people have their pivots in the same spot. If I move them up towards that, you'd see that they're all in the same spot as well, so that their butts sit on the chair and in the right position. And so once that's all set, just hide the stadium for now, grab the spline. I will create a forest object, so go into create i2 software, Forest Pack Pro, and I'll just click on the spline. Wait for it to do its thing. It kind of freaks out sometimes when you start it on a spline. It's meant to be started on a surface. So it gives you these template objects, which are planes like tree planes, cards. And, what I'll do is, up here in geometry, we have our geometry list, which is what we want to scatter. I'll go down and find my chair, and go to custom object. After it updates, again, it's having that weird issue with the trying to do stuff on the spline. Not going to worry about that right now. This is the camera visibility that like I was showing you earlier. When I turned it off, it was kind of cutting things off. It's nice for working in your viewport faster. So now the chair is a custom object, and then Force Pack has this cool feature where you can actually individually adjust the objects, even though it's a scatter. When you do decide to do that, it breaks the procedural nature of the generation, but you can individually create and move them and stuff. It's pretty cool. But anyway, I go to custom edit mode, which tells you, you're about to break it, but whatever. I select the path that we want to scatter these along, which is our shape right here, and we set the shape, or the spacing here, which is very important. If you have precise things like seats where this arm has to connect to this chair. I just did that through a measure tool, and it came out to be about 2 feet. So do 2 feet, make sure follow path is on, and that's really it. Just create. Boom. Increase this so you can see. Display. It looks kind of weird right here because there's a lot more polys in the arms, or in that arm there, than there is on the seat. So it's kind of just showing a lot of that. If we look through the viewport, we have a whole ton of seats, and they're all facing the correct direction. And then what's also nice about Forest is if you say you have a nice pattern going on and you want something that's kind of similar on a different node, you could just copy it. So I just hit Control V to copy it. And now I want to change what is scattering. So I want these people over here I'm not gonna select all of them because it takes a little bit of time, but I'll make a new one, custom object, take Granny, she loves the games. Let's take that weird kid, and that guy right there, and this guy. Alright, so we still have our chair in there right now, but we'll just delete that guy out, and it's going to replace them with the next piece of geometry in successive order. So that's Granny. If we go back into the tree edit mode, which is 1, I guess it's it's a sub object, it's 1, and we can tell it to regenerate the IDs just randomly. We can reset size. We could tell it specifically what ID we want. So if there's like one person near the camera that's doubled up, like the same person right next to each other, you can go in and change the ID right there. But we just want to randomize it, so I'll just hit random ID. Now we got some random people in here, and another good thing about Forest is you can hide the layers or the objects that you're scattering, and it will still display them at render time. And I know that these guys back here are actually reversed. I just didn't have the time to fix those splines before I started the presentation, but